Today is the follow-up video to tell you what a $20 Wyze smartwatch gets you. A few days ago I received the Wyze watch and did an opening video and wanted to live with it for a few days so I can come back and do a fuller review on it and talk about some of the pros, some of the cons, and what you get for that $20 investment. So Wyze introduced their watch. It was a follow-up to their Fitband, and so to kind of encapsulate it, it kind of feels like a Fitband in a, I'll just say it, Apple Watch format.
See, they're McDonald's. I'm McDowell's. Huh?
So let's take a look at these two side by side. Let's look at the obvious comparisons first, and then we'll get into some of the details of it. I have both the Wyze and the Apple Watch. Now, for the Apple Watch, I have the upgraded band. For the Wyze, I have the band that just came with it. And at initial appearances, even size-wise, they look very similar to each other. Now, one of the things that you'll quickly notice is that one of the big differences is the Apple Watch has the dial, the Wyze does not. Let's turn them sideways. We also have a button on the Apple. We have a single button on the Wyze, but that's pretty much it. Now, because I have this band on the Apple, I'm going to kind of hold this, and you can see the sensor array is more subtle on the back of the Apple, whereas with the Wyze, you can kind of see the way that they built it, the sensors. And then for the Wyze, also that was the charging port that we talked about. Now, what's interesting is size-wise, this is Apple's 44 millimeter. This is the Wyze 47 millimeter. So what's interesting is the Apple comes in the 40 and 44 size. The Wyze comes in the 44 and 47. This is the 47, and if you look, it is slightly larger than the Apple as far as lengthwise, but if you like the screen up, the Apple Watch takes up all of that real estate. Whereas the Wyze, if you look kind of close here, there's some blank spaces, especially at the bottom, and some more around the top edge size. The build doesn't stop there. There's also some quality differences that you just have to literally feel. You know, there's that very smooth edge on the Apple. On the Wyze, you can kind of feel where that line of demarcation is. But the one thing that Wyze did do is Wyze did make this out of aluminum. So it is a true aluminum watch. So it does have a really nice feel to it. Again, talking $20 Wyze, $400 Apple. Now again, I have the more advanced band on the Apple. The Wyze does have some band options available, and it has a pretty simple way of changing the bands. So if you release this mechanism here, you can release the band, and you can actually swap these bands out with some other bands that Wyze has available on their website. There's some other color styles that you can get with the Wyze to kind of spruce it up a little bit. But it comes with a basic rubber band. So that's kind of the visual comparisons between the two. Display-wise, it's hard to compare the two. Apple obviously has the better processor. At a $400 watch, I'm going to assume it has a better imager. And there's really no animations with the Wyze. The Wyze is like pretty much static. It still has the touch interface. And I've got an incoming call right now, so this is interesting. This is my daughter calling me. I'm going to end the call, and this was actually a good option to see that the Wyze does show you incoming calls. You can end the call from the Wyze, but you can't answer and you can't speak. There's no microphone on the Wyze. Apple does have the microphone. There is no speaker on the Wyze. Apple does have the speaker. Basically, the Wyze just has the vibration. So the way that it alerts you is it vibrates. I'll call my daughter back later. So that's one of the comparisons between the two. Apple has the speaker and the microphone. The Wyze does not. Now, before I go any further, this is not a beat up on Wyze. This is just the comparison with the two watches that I happen to have, and we expect the $400 Apple Watch to be a better performer than the $20 Wise Watch. Let's talk about why. Let's get a little bit more into the specs, and then we'll get a little into the comparisons of functionality a little more. So, faces. One of the things people always want to know is about faces. Faces on the Wise is very limited. You could have 3 faces loaded on the Wise at any given time that you can switch through. The other limitation of the Wise is the faces are not very customizable. You get some basic faces that you could choose from, which are some nice looking faces. You get an analog watch, you get one that kind of focuses on fitness, and then you have one where you can put a picture behind it, but it is one single picture that you have to move to the phone. It's not like you can move a collage. So you're limited to 3 watch faces loaded to the device at any time, compared to Apple's where you have just a lot more options. As far as radios and communications, there is Bluetooth. There's still a question of whether it's actually Bluetooth 5 or Bluetooth 4. I'll try to find that out, and once I know, I'll add it to the comments. But there is no Wi-Fi on the Wise watch. So, again, it's a $20 watch. I am not bashing Wise in their $20 watch. I think if you're looking for something that's more of a notifier than a communicator, if you're looking to get this for a teenager, a young child, I think it's a great thing that you can get for them that, gives them the look and feel of an Apple Watch when it's really not.
They got the golden arches. Mine is the golden arcs.
So let's focus on the Wise watch for a few minutes. It is waterproof up to 2 meters for 30 minutes, so you can shower with it. You could, get quick splashes with it. I wouldn't try to scuba with it. They claim to have a 9-day battery. Now, truth be told, I got this on Saturday. Shot the first video Saturday. I've been living with it since then. It's Wednesday of that same week. I've not charged it. And the last time I checked, the battery was still at 30%. It's now down to 24%. And I've been putting it through its paces, so it looks like it's got some really good battery life. And again, that's because it's not doing a lot of the animations or some of the more advanced features. But again, that's great battery life. So, Wise had a fitness tracker that was out, and this is the follow-up to the fitness tracker. So they've got some nice fitness things built in, including heart rate. It can also track your blood oxygen level. It also can track your sleep overnight, as well as doing the steps and the calorie burn. Now, we'll look at the comparison with the Apple Watch a little later to see whether we believe that's accurate for what you get on here. But again, for $20, I think you're getting a whole lot of value for style points and basic functionality from the Wise watch. Let's go back to the contrast and comparison, and let's talk about what some of the pros and some of the cons are. And again, since they made it look like the Apple Watch is what we're going to compare it to, with the understanding that the Apple Watch is about 20 times more expensive than the Wise watch.
Now see, they got the Big Mac, I got the Big Mick.
The Wise app is how you control the Wise watch. And I have some other Wise devices, but we're going to go into watch here, and we'll look at this here. So we can see, again, it's at 24%. It's connected to the phone. So these are the 3 faces I have loaded on the watch. There are some other options, but these are the 3 that I have loaded. And if we go to the watch, we can do a long press, and then we can switch between those faces. And then another tap will set that face. And each face may offer a different level of detail. And with the animated face, you see you get the very, quartzy tick that happens instead of the smooth sweep. You also get some notifications you could turn on. So here's where you can decide what notifications you want to receive on the Wise watch. I currently have on my phone call, which you saw when my daughter called. Text messages. Text messages are limited. If your text message is too long, you'll only get a portion of the text message, not the whole message. I've got Gmail turned on, and Spotify I've been playing with, but I've not really gotten much notification on Spotify, but it will show your appointments on the watch. So again, it will notify you of what's going on, even though you can't interact and communicate directly back to the app on your mobile device. Okay? And then we've got some goals, we've got some stretch reminders, things that you can turn on, including Do Not Disturb. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go into the data here, because now we're going to start to talk about the fitness aspects of the Wise Watch. So I've had this on for the past couple of days, and so it's going to show here how many steps it believes that I've taken today. And so it's saying, when I'm recording this at 8:22 at night, it's saying that I took 7,081 steps today. We're going to go back and compare that against what the Apple Watch said and see how accurate we believe that may be. It also said I burned 385 calories. I had an average heart rate of 84 beats per minute. And what's interesting is the sleep function. I slept for 6 hours and 47 minutes according to the Wise Watch. We're going to spend some time here because I think that's the selling point of the Wise Watch, is the fitness aspect of it. So remember those numbers while we jump over to the Apple data. So if we go into the health on the Apple, Apple claims I only slept for 5 hours and 2 minutes. So let's pause there for a second and let's talk about how both of those are measured. So, preparing for this review, I actually slept. Well, not only slept, I ran around with 2 watches on, like you saw at the beginning of the video. I wore the Apple Watch where I normally wore it, and then I wore the Wise Watch on the other wrist, so they're in the exact same environment, just 2 separate sides. And you'll see there's some discrepancies. First of all, there's a discrepancy in the sleep number where Apple says I slept for an hour less. Apple has a way of measuring sleep. Theirs is research based. Based on the movements that you make, they track how much time you are actually sleeping in effective sleep. So that's where you see all the breaks in here, where it looks like I'm doing a lot of tossing and turning last night, probably being scared to get ready to do this video today. Let's go back over to the Wise app. And if we go into sleep on the Wise app, Wise does something a little bit different. Wise tracks your different levels of sleep. So in Wise, it will track when it believes you're in deep sleep, which for mine it's saying was an hour and 34 minutes. When you were in light sleep, where it's saying I spent most of my time last night for 5 hours and 13 minutes. And then where you were awake, which at my age, you get up and you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So that's some interesting data. And I thought it was interesting that Wise broke the data down more. But I know if you get some of the third-party applications with Apple, you can get more details. Apple chooses not to give you those details within their app itself. So going back over to health and going into steps, we also see the discrepancy here where Apple said that I walked 5,823 steps, whereas Wise said that I walked 7,000. So Wise is giving me more credit than Apple is for the number of steps that I took during the day. But if you look at the calories, Wise says I only burned 385 calories today, where Apple is giving me credit for 700 calories within the same time period. So again, there's this huge discrepancy there. I'm not even going to argue which one is more right. Again, I would assume that the $400 device would be more accurate than the $20 device, but that might not be fair to Wise. So comment down below, tell me what you think, tell me what your experience is working with other trackers, whether or not you know or believe that Apple's tracking is accurate or not. And then we have the heart rate tracking also. Both devices track your heart rate. So Apple is saying my heart rate average was 81 beats per minute. And Wise is saying that my average heart rate was 84 beats per minute. So again, there's some discrepancy. So once again, the Apple Watch has more sensors also. So there are some things that the Apple has tracked that the Wise watch cannot. But again, it's to be expected. So let's wrap talking about pros and cons. Pros for the Wise watch. It's $20. 20. It has the look and the feel of an Apple Watch minus the crown.
We both got 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions. But they use a sesame seed bun. My buns have no seeds.
It is comfortable, and it does have interchangeable bands, so you can change the style up on it a little bit. And again, it's $20. Pros and cons for the Apple Watch. It's Apple. So it connects directly with your Apple phone. It has full integration with your Apple phone. But if you're an Android user, you lose a lot of that functionality. So it actually starts to lose a little bit of its shine and appeal in comparison to the Wise watch. So if you're looking for a fitness tracker, maybe you don't want to wear your expensive Apple Watch while you're working out at the gym, or if you're looking for something for your teenagers or kids and you don't want to have to worry about whether they're going to lose it or not, I think the Wise is going to be a great option. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can always hit the like button. That helps us to show up in search results. You can subscribe. That way you can see these episodes when they come out. Also, we have t-shirts. So if you like the t-shirt, this is by COVID. We're in March, so hopefully we're almost out of all of this. Check the link in the description if you like any of the shirts, and all of them will be featured there in that link. And as I always say, until next time, stay in the techno.